Well, the UN Refugee Agency for Palestinians has called for humanitarian access across the Gaza Strip and an immediate ceasefire. Let's cross now to Gaza and our correspondent Akram Al-Satari in the southern city of Rafah. Akram, as the number of starvation deaths rise in Gaza, how are people coping with the hunger and the lack of resources there?
Well, I think the word hunger and coping are oxymorons where they cannot meet together. People have been living extreme hunger not only in the Gaza North but also in the Gaza South in light of the very lacking number of trucks allowed into the Gaza Strip and almost no trucks allowed into the Gaza North. We have been following the news about that. We have been communicating about the people who are living in the North. It's very difficult for them to cope. They have been eating the grass. They have been trying and eating also the feed of the animals. They have been already dying because of the lack to any and every resource, natural or man-made, that they can use for the sake of helping themselves survive and helping their families and children survive. The situation is catastrophic and it continues to be extremely catastrophic. Now we have been hearing the news every day about people who are dying because of that hunger, people who are adults, people who are children. So every single person in Gaza is suffering from a specific degree, a certain degree of malnutrition. People have been losing their weight recently, an average of 10.5 to 12 kilograms for every single Gazan. So people are suffering and it's very difficult for them to cope with this catastrophic situation that they have been living in. And I think if it were not for the grass and the natural resources, then we would have been hearing about 1,000 people who are dying every day in Gaza.
With people resorting to eating grass and animal food, it's clear just how desperate things are. So how are people preparing for the month of Ramadan amid this conflict?
Well, the month of Ramadan has some very profound spiritual value for the Palestinians. I was walking down the streets of Rafah near Ash-Shabura that was hit several times by the Israeli aerial bombardments. People were just some of the traders who have some lights and some decorations from last years that were not sold are already selling them to the people. People even who are living in the tents are getting some decorations and light for their tents to celebrate that month. They're going to fast, they're going to live, they're going to survive, and they are going even to enjoy and celebrate the blessings according to the spiritual faith that they have. So the bombardment, the blockade, the death, and the continuous deprivation is not preventing people of Gaza from living and waiting for Ramadan and also observing the different rituals of that month.
The holy month of Ramadan coincides with more than 5 months of conflict between Israel and Hamas. The ongoing conflict has negatively impacted the economy in Gaza, including the lack of basic life necessities for citizens, and the interruption of food supplies, and the price surge of available foods, which increases the burdens on citizens in Gaza who have mostly lost their homes and businesses. Palestinians are accustomed to going out to the markets a few days before the start of the blessed month to buy food and decorations, but this year is different, as there is limited canned food supplies available in the markets.
There are no rituals for the coming of Ramadan this year, unlike in previous years, where we used to decorate our homes and go to the market to buy supplies. But this year, we're living in the atmosphere of war and have lost many of our loved ones. We will miss their presence and visits to us. Frankly, the month of Ramadan this year is sad, not like the previous years.
Despite the poor economic and living conditions, some Palestinians tend to buy what is available from the Ramadan decorations in order to decorate their tents.
There's some demand to buy Ramadan decorations because of the war. Displaced people are trying to create an atmosphere for the month of Ramadan to make their children happy, despite the war and the destruction of their homes. They're hanging decorations in their tents to enjoy the atmosphere of Ramadan.
Hallo Ya Hallo is a famous Arabic Ramadan song. Aboud Subuh sings it with dozens of his neighbors and children from one of the displacement camps located in the Tel Sultan area, west of Rafah. They gather every night under the colored lights and start singing and dancing.
We're all displaced people here. We organize entertainment for children every 2 days to make them happy and change their psychology for the better, away from the atmosphere of war, as well as reviving the rituals of celebrating the advent of the month of Ramadan.
Before the start of the month of Ramadan, many people here hope that the Israel-Hamas conflict ends soon, so that large quantities of humanitarian aid relief can come into Gaza.